Zoe Christensen, Zoe Christensen.
Hi everyone, how are you going? Thanks for actually replying to that. So I'm Zoe, I'm 16 and I'm from Mount Carmel College in Tasmania. And no, just so we're on the same page, just because I'm from Tasmania doesn't mean my parents are brother and sister. They're just cousins. So I moved to Mount Carmel when I was 8 or 7 from a place called Huonville Primary School. And Mount Carmel's just your typical school, typical friendship groups, popular girls, normal ones, the weird ones that are just kind of there but you don't really notice. And then Huonville, my best friend got his finger ripped off by an airborne rock. So there's a bit of a difference. So moving to Mount Carmel for me was like getting a kitten. You think it's going to be fun and you're really pumped about it. But then a week later you're covered in scratches, bites and a bad attitude. So I had 3 friends at Huonville. That's 4. 3. I don't actually know how I got friends at Huonville, considering I was the shittiest friend in the world. There was Kevin, Luke and Matt. And Kevin, I made him dig a rock out of the ground every day. Wasn't even different rocks. It was the same one. Not even for a weird fetish I had going on. It was just something weird that kids do. And then there was Matt, who I made fun of one too many times. I made him cry on the basketball court, which I also made fun of him for. And then there was Luke, who I have done the worst thing to that I've ever done to anyone. Threw a rock at his head. Let me explain. So he invited me to this hungy thing, which is where they cook meat in the ground. I bet you're expecting an explanation for that as well, but I don't have one. It's a weird Kiwi thing, just don't question it. So there was like the meat grounds, and then there was an orchard and a shed. And we were in the shed along with absolutely everyone else, and that's about 200 people. So 2 families and a few stragglers for Huonville. And we're dancing up the front, having a great time. And then I start getting overheated, and little 7-year-old me just can't take it anymore. So I drag Luke out, and we're standing in this beautifully moonlit orchard, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's romantic. It's gonna happen. And I'm getting excited, and I'm thinking of ways that I can get Luke to think this way about me too. When all of a sudden he just goes, Zoe, think of a game! And I'm like, geez, shit, okay, give me a second. So I'm thinking, and my mind starts racing, and I'm thinking of different things. I can't play a simplistic game like tag or hide and seek. They're for a normal child. I'm a hipster. You can see I've got the flannel and the glasses. All I need is a beard and a beanie. But anyway, he was getting into it. Thank you. So anyway, and it comes to me. Rock tag. Let me explain. You get a rock, you throw it, and you run. So I'm it, and I've got this rock in my hand, which is the size of my 2 fists combined, and I'm walking around and I'm like, okay, this isn't as romantic as I always thought it was going to be, but I can pull it back, I can get him back, it's all right. And I'm walking around and I hear this kind of rustle in the bushes in the orchard over there, so naturally I pelt my rock at it, and then I walk over to where I've thrown my rock and I see a lump lying on the ground. And I'm like, that wasn't there before. Let's go, I'm out of here. And then it starts groaning. And now at this point, to say that I'm so scared I could soil myself at any moment is an understatement. So I keep going to walk away, but then it groans again and the curiosity takes over and I have to go see who it is or what it is. And coincidentally, it's Luke. And he's got blood all over his face. And he just kind of sits there and he's looking a bit startled, as you would if you had a rock pelted at your head. And he sits up and he looks at me. And at this point, I'm expecting him to scream, cry, get up and punch me, anything except what he actually does. He sits up and he looks at me and he goes, So, my reaction to that is, balls, he's lost it, let's leave. But then he touches his face, and I was hoping he wouldn't, because then he would notice the blood and possible brain hemorrhage. But he does, unfortunately, and he pulls his hand away, and he looks at it, and he's kind of like, yep, that's blood. And then he screams a scream a victim of rock tag can only scream. And so I just put my hands on his shoulders and I'm like, Luke, come on, it's okay, you'll be okay, everything will be fine, we'll take you back to your mum and it'll all be good. Well, that's what I thought. But sometimes what I say and what I think don't kind of sync, so what I say kind of comes out differently. I put my hands on his shoulders and I just look him dead in the eye and I say, Luke, don't tell Dad. Which would kind of be hard considering his face was covered in blood. So he just like walks up and is like, oh Luke, what's on your face? Oh, you know, blood. Had an intense game of rock tag, Dean. You should really play it sometimes. Good game, good time passer. So anyway, he ended up going to the hospital and getting his head glued back together. And he came back to school the next day with this giant purple like thing on his head. And he comes running up to me and he's like, Zoe, I've got a Harry Potter scar. And I'm like, are we friends? Does this mean that we're all good? And he's like, yeah, it's all good. And I'm just thankful that I have such a forgiving friend that could still be my boyfriend. And so now when I meet people who know Luke, they're like, oh my God, do you know Luke? And I'm like, oh my God, yes. And they're like, oh my God, this is so cool. I'm like, you know his Harry Potter scar? Yeah, I gave that to him. Oh. And so now, basically, I'm Voldemort. Thank you.
Zoe Christensen, Zoe Christensen, it's Zoe!